Welcome back, everybody. So, I'm back working on the WJ. Yes, again. So, this seems to be the project for now. So, what we're going to do today is the other half, my better half, said that she wants a CB. But we got a problem. Problem being is that she doesn't want some big old antenna sticking off it. She's like, yeah, I don't like that. And so we ask her, like, okay, so what do you want me to do? And, well, basically, I'll show you. She doesn't want anything hanging off the back. She doesn't want me to put it in brackets, anything like down here, nothing. She doesn't want it in the back, basically doesn't want a big old antenna sticking up. So I'm like, okay, so we can put one of those magnetic ones. You can just, go ahead and just stick up there on the roof. Nope. She don't like that idea either. So it's like, all right, well, we'll figure out something, right? And then she's like, I was like, where do you want CB? Like, where do you want it to physically sit? And, well, I told her, I says, it's got a perfect spot. We can go stick it on the dash. And she's like, no, I don't like that. I was like, well, there's a good spot right here. Just put a little CB there. She's like, no, sir. Nope. So then again, we create a second problem. And, well, I think I have a solution for that. And I think you guys might like it. Now, if anybody's seen the videos before, you know me personally, I rock a Cobra 29, which so happens to be the one from my old semi that's tweaked and peaked. And, well, I mean, if you're familiar with CB radios, they are one of the best ones, the classic 29. It is actually a great radio, and especially if you have it tweaked and peaked, modified a little bit, the range shoots far beyond what you're going to need for like wheeling in a group. But just in case, I wanted one that's capable of, reaching far and being able to get a hold of a ranger station or, emergency service or something, just a little bit extra protection in case we needed it. And so I went ahead and stuck that on there. But to her, that thing's too big. Now, a lot of people are like, well, just put it down below by the feet. She doesn't want it there. She don't want people kicking it and stuff. So I think we have a mission on our hands here. And in any case, what we decided to go with this time is actually the Cobra 19 Ultra right here. And you ask yourself why? Why? Well, because the thing was brand new and I got it for $15 from somebody on OfferUp. So yeah, that's why we're going with this. So in any case, it's small, compact, but nonetheless, even so, being this small, she doesn't want to just anywhere. She doesn't, like on the dash, she don't like that. It's like, okay, well, figure something there like that, not too bad, right? Okay, hun, let's put it down here. No, she doesn't like that idea either. So I got to thinking, where can I put this thing? Well, obviously, we're not going to go ahead and put it up here because we have our controls for sunroof, our lights, and everything like that. We're not going to put it on the top. So where are we going to put it? Well, got an idea. We got an opening down here in the center console. Right here. So today, after all my blabbering and all my BS of going through this whole mess, we figured out a solution. And the solution today is we're going to do a stealth install. We got two things. Cobra 29 or Cobra 19 Ultra, sorry, not 29. 19 Ultra, right? Small, compact, perfect size. No problem. Now, we do have something else. We got to address that antenna. So how are we going to address that antenna? Well, I'm going to show you right now how we're going to take care of that. And it's nothing fancy. Well, could be a little fancy. But in any case, if you guys only want to run one antenna, this might be your solution. So this is what we got, a splitter. So what this does is this takes your input, or basically what would be your output, takes your two inputs. So you got one coming from the radio, one coming from the CB, combines them, and allows you to use a single antenna. So whether that be your stock antenna, well, stock location, or if you have something older, say in the case of like the Beast, that even though it's got an antenna, it's missing the cable for the radio, so it doesn't work. Or if you have something where you just don't want a big bulky antenna sticking off of the thing, well, here's the solution. You get yourself one of those little splitters, and basically that allows you to run both radios on one antenna. So what we're going to end up doing with this, which unfortunately I'm still waiting on the parts, but what we're going to end up doing with this is putting our CB antenna, and yes, a smaller one, but we're going to put in our CB antenna right there in that location. So I'm not going to be running no big one, and of course, you know, she's not going to be way out there with everybody, and I don't know what I did with it. I got a small twofer around here somewhere, but in any case, that's what we're going to do. So it's not even going to look like you have one. I mean, unless you go and show somebody where it's at. But basically, that's what we're doing today. So we'll go ahead and get that thing pulled apart. Get that center console pulled apart. Mock up everything. Trim it. Get ready to go. And show you guys how we're going to do this stealth install of a CB. So I think that's going to be perfect. Especially because the only antenna that's going to be sticking off of this is going to be right here. That's it. One. So you guys, sit back, relax, and if you're still watching, let's get to it. Alright, so we're taking out the screws out of here. It's as simple as pop this way. Well, should be simple if you're not dopey. Pop this way. Out it comes. So we'll set that aside. Now, a simple other piece. Take this out. Take this out. Now you guys aren't gonna have all this stuff, but before I decided to make the video, I went ahead and cut it out already, so you guys can see. So simple. Already went ahead, drilled a couple holes on each side to put that CB in and get it mounted. So pretty simple. You guys have to trim a little bit, and there is some stuff down here in the way, so you're gonna have to kind of, let's see how it goes. You're gonna have to kind of angle that radio with the top being up here and the bottom down here, of course. So, and it's just because you guys have some ducting and, you know, stuff down here that you gotta kind of watch out for. I mean, of course, you can have it stick out further, and you don't really even have to cut this except for put a hole for your wires to go through. But I figured they're cheap enough, and there's a dozen of them in the junkyard. Vehicle's old enough now that if we decide later on we don't want it, no harm, no foul. But for now, that's the solution I came up with. Now, then all you have to do is take your both screws and put them in. One on each side, and you are money. Now you guys can see, but fits in there quite nicely. So plenty of space, doesn't protrude too far, and the beautiful part about this is sitting way down low, it actually angles the display screen up a little bit, which makes it a lot easier to see. So that right there is already a plus. Doesn't really interfere with anything else at this point. So that's a perfect spot for a stealth install. I mean, looking in there, you may notice it, may not, but it's not going to be a bunch of stuff in your way. So I think that right there is an absolute win. And again, you guys remember, this is basically, it's a daily, so it is being built to be capable and at the same time also not too extreme like the Beast. Just basically, you know, you can get out there if you want to. So if we're out and about and we just decide, hey, there's a little trail, let's go for a ride, have a little picnic, have some lunch up in the mountains like we tend to do often, and you know, we're just like, well, dang it, you know, we got the Civic or we got the Kia, and well, we ain't making it up them trails. And it's more or less, if we're just coming up the hill and we're bored and, you know, we want to take back roads or whatever, this thing's more than capable of it. And that's the basis. So the easiest way to describe to everybody, it's basically built along the lines of a overland vehicle. Mild lift, mild tires, with some recovery equipment and some communication equipment, but also to where it's still streetable. And that's the goal with the WJ. It's not a hardcore off-roader. She is basically can get out, get the job done to some extent. I'm not going to say it's going to be the best, but at the same time, it's a lot more capable than it was. So with that being said, we'll get back to this install and go from there. So I think right now we're going to have to find some wiring and tap in this to a ground and a 12 volt. So I don't really want it to be on constant. And I noticed that's what happened with this one right here. It has constant power no matter what. So when I installed this one and removed the old cigarette lighter, basically this port's constantly on, which I'm not going to tap into that one for it. But I do have another 12 volt that is ignition hot. So we will probably go ahead and tap in for the radio right there. Alright guys, now I gotta take this radio out. So this simply pulls out, and then depending on how your radio is, of course you got your screws in there to hold it in place. But we got to get to the access to the back of this radio. That being why, because we have to find a spot to install our splitter and connect our splitter at the same time. And here we go. Now the main point of this right here is basically, get that thing out. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm all trying to pull it apart, but because it was broken, I heat shrunk it together. Yeah, dopey. But in any case, we're gonna have to find some place up in here to get this hooked up to. So the main part of this is, again, this is our out, obviously from the box. That's your out, where it says CB antenna. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, I have two, and this will come with two cables. Obviously, coax style, and the style for your radio. So, if you look at the box, again, reading it, there it is, it's not upside down. Basically, you see, it says AM, FM. The AM, FM, you just go ahead and simply click on your adapter. This one goes to your stereo, and then the one that says CB, obviously, goes down to your CB. So, pretty self-explanatory. Not a big deal. But, we'll go ahead and find a spot in here that's nice, decent, out of the way of everything else. Nothing really going to be blocking it. We'll go ahead and get that put in. Once that's done, we can go ahead and reinsert our stereo and call it a day. Alright, we gotta fish it up or fish it down. One of the two. And there we go. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. Don't worry about it. Only thing we really got to do now is find a place to secure this out of the way. So, we'll be back as soon as I figure out what I'm going to do with it. Alrighty guys, so went in, secured that little splitter, and reinstalled the stereo. So that part we can cross off our list and call it done. Okay. Back to what it was. Never even know that thing is back there. So the next thing we got to do is figure out our power. Since we've already got our antenna established, the next thing I got to do is get a 12-volt source. And where I'm going to get that from is the SIG lighter. Now, a lot of people say blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. The one on the driver's side was already taken out. That was replaced with the connections for the stereo, because we have the 2 ports, which, let me show you. We have the 2 ports for the Apple and your Android Auto, for your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto. So those had already replaced it. So we ended up with an extra 12-volt power source, which is ignition hot. Not a bad deal. So what do we do with that? Well, I went ahead and in the back here, right under the console, I'll show you guys. This is an older car. There's really not a source back there for my son when he's sitting here. So basically what I ended up doing was making a wiring harness, which, well, you guys can see because it's basically down in here. Ended up creating this right here for a harness, and I ran that all the way back here to 2 more plugs. You can see, and another one there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and tap into that to get our 12-volt for our CB. Now the thing is, we're not gonna be running all this stuff at the same time. It's not like I'm gonna be here putting on my CB radio and at the same time running something off of that aux, you know. Like, I'm not gonna be plugging in, say, like a pump or something off of that cigarette lighter there. So I'm not too worried about it overloading the fuse, right? Because I'm not gonna be running a ton of stuff at the same time. And I even put an inline fuse in the wire too, just in case. So if it does, basically all I gotta do is pop out that plug, replace that fuse, we're good. So it has 2 inline fuses. So 1 down at the box, 1 right there at the plug. So simple, easy. I know it's redundant, but I wanted to make it easy. So in any case, I'm not going to burn my wiring down, as well as the CB having having a fuse in there too. So I think it'll be okay. We'll go ahead and get that tapped in, get everything else installed, and show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Alrighty guys, so as you saw, that simple. I mean, you can order the stuff if you want. I can leave a link in the description so you know exactly what I used to go ahead and accomplish this. But like I said, pretty simple. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it came out great, especially for a stealth install of that CB. You go down the road, yes, I know everybody's like, oh look, good antennas, but to tell you the truth, it's still great. And whether or not you're going to use a CB radio using UHF, or you're going to go ahead and use a high frequency radio via VHF, either way this system will work for you, and it just kind of gives you that nice clean install. Now you can choose to run, obviously you guys saw it works, you can choose to run like a regular radio antenna. It'll still work. You're not going to get quite the same range as you would if you were to use, like, say, a VHF antenna or a UHF antenna via like regular CB antenna. They do have smaller ones. We're going to try this one, see how well it works. We'll test out the range and stuff, and Be it, I mean, this is what she wants, and like I said, it's a daily driver, so it's not really like we're going to be messing with anything. But with all that being said, let me go ahead, give you guys a look. I think it came out great, but let me know in the comments what you think. Anything else I could have changed, or anything else you would like to add. So feel free. We're always open to suggestions, even criticism. Like I said, personally, this is the way I did it, and well, it's the first time doing it, so we'll test it, see how it works. In any case, let me show you guys how it looks. You can see that right there is actually pretty clean. I mean, doesn't really get in the way of anything. It's not there. We're not doing any holes in our dash. And like I said, if she ends up not liking this, no big deal. We pull it out. We can either cover it up, or we simply get another one of these plastic pieces. It's literally that simple. And I mean, I'm at the junkyard all the time, so just grab another one, have it laying here in the cabinet just in case we need it. But like I said, we don't have anything down here. We don't have anything up here. Everything still looks clean. We have no wires running across the dash. Don't have to put any holes in it. Nothing like that. This right here is the simplest, easiest way to reverse it. So with that being said, you guys saw it works. And you're like, oh, what about the mic? Well, again, gents and ladies, if you're watching, because remember, this is built for the wife. So in any case, we don't have to have this in unless we're using it. So it's not going to be sitting here getting in the way. It's not like, oh, it's laying here and every time you got to move it and everything. No. I'll show you what we can do with it. Simple. When not in use, there it goes. Out of sight, out of mind. When we need it, we'll go ahead and plug it in, get our use out of it, and that's it. Simple. So until the next one, later, heathens.